What if I told you that thousands of packaged foods sitting on the shelves of Woolworths, Coles and IGA right now may contain an ingredient so dangerous that the United States banned it in 2015, the European Union capped it in 2019, and Canada, Denmark, Germany, Sweden and the UK have all introduced mandatory limits, but here in Australia, manufacturers are not even required to put it on the label. Industrial trans fats. Researchers call them incredibly toxic. The World Health Organization estimates they cause around 500,000 premature deaths from heart disease every single year, and they are hiding inside products your family eats every week. Researchers at the George Institute for Global Health analysed over 28,000 packaged foods from Australian supermarkets. They found that more than 4,200 products, 15% of everything tested, contained generic vegetable oils, where the trans fat content was never disclosed. Of products that did voluntarily report trans fat levels, nearly 1 in 3 exceeded the World Health Organization's safety limit. The lead researcher said plainly, "Dangerous trans fats are still lurking in our food supply, and consumers have no way of knowing. I spent weeks going through ingredient lists, researching corporate ownership and cross-referencing the science. Here are the 10 products you need to rethink." Number 1. Woolworths Essentials Table Spread. This is the cheapest spread in the fridge aisle, and most people grab it without reading a single word on the label. But open that ingredient list and you will find something that should not be in any food sold in a high-income country in 2025. The vegetable oil in this product is listed in brackets as canola oil, hydrogenated palm kernel oil, and hydrogenated palm oil. Hydrogenated, right there in plain sight. Hydrogenation is the industrial process that creates trans fats. Liquid vegetable oil is pumped full of hydrogen to turn it solid. The result is cheap, shelf-stable, and according to Food Standards Australia New Zealand, directly linked to raising bad LDL cholesterol and lowering good HDL cholesterol simultaneously. That is a double blow to your cardiovascular system every time you spread this on your toast. The product also contains emulsifiers 471 and 322 from soy, plus a preservative and an acidity regulator. None of this appears on the nutrition panel because Australian law does not require trans fat content to be declared unless the manufacturer is making a specific fat or cholesterol claim. They are not. So you are left in the dark. Number 2. Maggi 2-minute noodles. Maggi is owned by Nestlé, the Swiss multinational. It is in every student flat, every camping bag, every budget kitchen in Australia. What it is, nutritionally, is a textbook ultra-processed product. The noodle cake ingredients list palm oil as the primary fat source. Then there are multiple acidity regulators, humectants, potassium carbonate, sodium carbonate, and gar gum. The flavor sachet adds monosodium glutamate, more palm oil, color 150D, and flavor enhancers sodium inosinate and sodium guanylate. A single serve contains roughly 890 milligrams of sodium, nearly 40% of your daily recommended limit, before you have eaten anything else. The trans fat concern comes from the industrial processing of palm oil at high temperatures. Food science research has confirmed that even refined oils contain measurable concentrations of trans fatty acids formed during processing. None of this is disclosed. The same Australian labelling laws that let hydrogenated spreads hide their trans fat content also let Maggi say nothing. Deakin University researchers found ultra-processed foods now make up 42% of the Australian diet. Maggi sits squarely in that category, engineered to be cheap, fast, and difficult to stop eating. Number 3. Arnott's Tim Tams. This one hurts. Tim Tams have been made in Australia since 1964. They are the biscuit people take overseas as gifts, the one product most Australians would name as distinctly ours. Except Arnott's is not Australian owned. In 1997, it was sold to Campbell's Soup Company of America. Then in 2019, Campbell's sold the international arm, including Arnott's, to KKR, an American private equity firm, for $2.2 billion US. Every packet of Tim Tams you buy sends money to a New York private equity group. And the ingredient list? Sugar is first, then fortified wheat flour, then palm oil. Further down, there are 2 emulsifiers, soy lecithins and E476, polyglycerol polyricinolate, an industrial emulsifier derived from castor oil. It is used to stretch cocoa butter further. reducing the amount of real chocolate in the product. Research published in nutrition journals has linked emulsifiers of this type to altered gut microbiota and low-grade intestinal inflammation with regular consumption. Not dramatic, not immediate. Cumulative. Every packet, every week, every year. The packaging has barely changed in decades. Only the ownership and the ingredient list reveal what Tim Tams have become. Number 4. Pringles. Pringles are not a chip. This is not an opinion. It is a fact from the product's own documentation. Pringles contain only around 42% potato content. The rest is wheat starch, corn flour, rice flour, vegetable oils, maltodextrin, an emulsifier, and salt. They are pressed from a dough, not sliced from a potato. They are a uniform, manufactured, potato-flavored disc. Pringles are owned by Kellogg's. The Australian product contains vegetable oil, including palm oil derivatives, plus mono and diglycerides, listed as emulsifier E471. Food science research has established that emulsifiers made from hydrogenated fats contain measurable concentrations of trans fatty acids, and those concentrations are never disclosed on the label because Australian law does not require it. The George Institute's analysis of Australian supermarket products specifically flagged that generic vegetable oil listings in snack products make it almost impossible for consumers to assess actual trans fat exposure. You are eating an engineered product designed to be impossible to stop eating, with an ingredient list designed to obscure what is actually inside. Number 5. Arnott's shapes. Every Australian has a favourite flavour. Chicken crimpy, barbecue, pizza. Shapes have been a school lunch staple since 1955. They are owned by the same private equity firm, KKR, that owns Tim Tams, and nearly every flavour in the range contains palm oil and multiple emulsifiers, including soy lecithins and flavour enhancers disodium inosinate and disodium guanylate. In 2016, Arnott's changed the shapes recipe and triggered one of the largest consumer backlashes in Australian food history. Thousands signed petitions. Arnott's eventually released an original range. Both formulas, however, still contain the same industrial oils. The ACCC has also taken action against Arnott's, ordering them to remove misleading saturated fat claims from their chip packaging in 2015, after finding the comparison used was not representative of how Australian chips are actually made. The ACCC found that about 80% of potato chips in Australia are not cooked in palm oil, making the claim deceptive to Australian consumers. Number 6. Twisties. The bright yellow and red bag. The gobbledoc. Twisties feel like they belong to Australia. They do not. Smith's snack food company, which owns Twisties, was acquired by Frito-Lay, a subsidiary of PepsiCo, the American multinational, in 1998. The profits have flowed to New York for over 25 years. The manufacturing process involves extrusion under heat and pressure. The pieces are then coated in vegetable oil and dusted with cheese powder, whey, salt, monosodium glutamate, lactic acid, and food coloring. That coating is where the flavor comes from. The color is not from cheese. MSG makes the savoriness more intense than real cheese ever could. Professor Helen Truby of the University of Queensland has confirmed that trans fats can be generated when seed oils are repeatedly heated to high temperatures in commercial deep frying. A 45-gram serving of Twisties contains approximately 500 milligrams of sodium. The MSG load across a full packet is never quantified on the label. Twisties taste like cheese but contain very little actual dairy. They are a flavor delivery system in a branded bag. Number 7. Commercial supermarket croissants. The flaky pastry that looks like a simple breakfast treat. Traditional croissants are made with butter, flour, eggs, and yeast. The ones in the supermarket bakery section are a completely different product. The George Institute's 2023 trans fat research specifically identified pastries and croissants as a top category of concern in the Australian food supply. Food Standards Australia, New Zealand's own trans fat survey, found that croissants and pastries were among the highest trans fat foods tested, with some samples exceeding the World Health Organization 2% limit. Commercial croissants use vegetable shortening or hydrogenated palm-based fats instead of butter because they are cheaper and create a longer shelf life. Under Australian law, none of this has to be disclosed. When you pick up a supermarket croissant, assuming you are eating something close to the real thing, you may be eating more trans fat per serve than almost any other food on the shelf. Number 8. Commercial microwave popcorn. Real popcorn is just corn kernels, heat, and salt. What is in most commercial microwave popcorn bags is not that. Microwave popcorn requires a fat that stays solid at room temperature and melts under heat inside the bag. Many products use palm oil or palm kernel oil to achieve this. As established by multiple food science sources, even refined palm oil processed at industrial temperatures contains measurable trans fat concentrations. The sodium content in commercial microwave popcorn can exceed 500 milligrams per serve. Artificial butter flavoring compounds are added to replicate what real butter would provide. The bags themselves have historically been lined with PFAS chemicals, the so-called forever chemicals, to prevent grease leaching. Reformulation timelines vary across brands. Pop your own corn at home, in a pot with olive oil and a pinch of salt. That is it. There is no reason to buy the bag. Number 9. Frozen commercial meat pies. The 4 and 20 at the footy. The servo pie. The reheated pie from the warmer at 11 p.m. The meat pie is Australian identity on a plate, and the frozen commercial versions available in every supermarket are one of the most consistently concerning products when it comes to trans fats. Pastry needs fat. Great pastry is traditionally made with butter or lard. Industrial pie pastry uses vegetable shortening and hydrogenated palm-based fats because they are cheap, stable, and produce consistent results at scale. FSANZ Trans Fat Monitoring has repeatedly identified baked goods and pastry products as a top category for trans fat exposure. A researcher at the University of Queensland specifically described finding a catering margarine being sold in remote Australian communities with 5 grams of trans fat per 100 grams, the category of product used directly in commercial pie production. A single 175-gram commercial pie can contain over 900 milligrams of sodium. Add a sauce sachet and you have exceeded your daily sodium recommendation at the footy before halftime. Number 10. Budget supermarket biscuits. The Tim Tam is on this list. But the greater daily danger is the everyday budget biscuit range. The cream sandwich biscuits, the chocolate-coated digestives, the family assorted tins on special, the biscuits in the lunchbox, the ones in the office kitchen. Research from Australia's packaged food databases has consistently found that bread, bakery products, and confectionery are the top categories where ingredients that indicate trans fat appear. Budget biscuits are frequently made using shortenings, hardened vegetable fats, which are a direct source of industrial trans fat. Typical ingredient lists show wheat flour, sugar, unspecified vegetable oil, modified starch, emulsifiers 471 and 3 and 22, raising agents, artificial flavors, and glucose syrup. The oil is not identified, and whether it is hydrogenated is not disclosed. The serving size on the packet is 3 biscuits. Nobody eats 3 biscuits. The nutrition panel is built around a fiction of how people actually eat these products. Here is how to protect yourself when you shop. Search for these words on any ingredient list: partially hydrogenated, hydrogenated vegetable oil, vegetable shortening, and unspecified vegetable fat or vegetable oil. These phrases signal potential industrial trans fats. If you see them, put the product back. Count the ingredients. Real food has a short list. If a product has more than 12 ingredients and half of them are numbers, it is ultra-processed. The front of the packaging is marketing. The ingredient list is the truth. Check sodium. More than 400 milligrams per serving in a snack food is worth flagging. More than 600 milligrams is high. Check the serving size. Manufacturers routinely set it far below what people actually eat to make the numbers look better. Here is the bottom line. Australia is one of the only high-income nations in the world still without mandatory regulation of industrial trans fats. A Department of Health spokesperson confirmed in 2025 that advice on potential restrictions would be provided to food ministers in 2026. In the meantime, the products are on the shelves. The labels say nothing, and the consumers buying them have no way of knowing. George Institute modelling shows banning industrial trans fats could prevent around 2,000 deaths and 10,000 heart attacks in Australia over just the first 10 years. The 10 products in this video are not the worst things you will ever eat. They are products that, consumed regularly in a country without disclosure laws, represent a public health problem the industry has not solved and the government has not yet regulated. The packaging looks familiar. The branding feels nostalgic. Only the ingredient list reveals what has actually been put inside. You deserve to know what you are feeding your family. If this video helped you understand what is really in these products, hit the like button and share it with every Australian family you know. Subscribe so you do not miss the next investigation. Ring that notification bell.